Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk about a very interesting subject and some of the puzzling things about museums around the world and in this country. As a former volunteer at Metropolitan Museum of Art, Art Institute of Chicago, I did some volunteer work there in terms of tours and public guide and helping people navigate the museum, finding things and all that. And uh, one of my favorite, probably one of the most favorite museums that I like to visit and frequently visit is Metropolitan Museum of Art. But I also want to talk about um, something that which it's interesting, and at the same time it raises some questions regarding the artwork that museums have, and especially I will focus on Museum of Metropolitan Museum, the Met in New York. So the Metropolitan Museum of Art has there's the museum is just an incredible place to be in. Every week there's things that you can see, there's things that you want to see, and um, that you can see that it's just impossible. You would need to spend months and months and years to just observe and see every object, and not every object, but just to walk around and learn about its um, just the collections that are on display. Now, we're also talking about the collections that were not on display, meaning the collections that are being stored either in the basement of the museum or, as I heard this from the podcast that I listened to, which is the Revisionist History by Malcolm Gladwell. And some of these ideas that I'm presenting here will be similar or will influenced by Malcolm Gladwell. Um, so Malcolm Gladwell. Before I talk about the museum, let's just Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite authors. He wrote the book Blink, David and Goliath, Talking to Strangers. Interesting author, and I enjoy reading his stuff. Although I disagree some of the stuff and all that. But then the podcast that he has, it's called the Revisionist History, and the Revisionist History is very interesting because it takes some stuff that we already know about, and there are things or the details that have been missed or haven't been explained, or they've been explained in a wrong way, or we thought about it in the wrong way. So um, that is an interesting podcast, and this is where he talks about the Met, and he describes this idea of hoarding. Just like similar to the idea of when we got the pandemic going, and then all of a sudden people started to hoard toilet paper, not food but a toilet paper. So all those people that have hoarded toilet paper, I would love to talk to you about it, because I'm just trying to understand why is the toilet paper more important than food. um, After all, if you need to wash yourself, you can use the bathroom. So that's very interesting. But talking about hoarding, this is we're talking about a very expensive art objects. And what Malcolm Gladwell points, and I agree with him, is that all of a sudden that Met used to have a kind of suggestible donation, the suggestible price. If you were going to the Met like 3 4 years ago, you would pay whatever you want to pay. It's like a donation. It's not a donation, but it's similar to donation. So you can pay $2 for 5 people. You can pay $50 for whatever you want to pay to be admitted and to see the museum. Now they have changed the rules. Is that if you are not living, I believe, in a tri-state area, you have to pay like $25 just to visit the museum. And this is due to the fact that Metropolitan Museum had some financial problems and issues, and they raised the price of admissions, and they changed it totally. What again, and I want to give credit here to Malcolm Gladwell, because he points rightfully is that, okay, you're charging all these people, but you have all these millions and millions and millions of art objects. that most likely no public will see, that most likely we will never display. Why don't you sell those or give them to the for the loan or to other museums or and sell them to art collectors? And this way you can get that money that you need and balance the budget. Now, I don't know that much about budgeting or meaning budgeting the museum and all that stuff, but to me, it just does not make sense that. And then Matt is laid off people too. Um, but you have all these, according to Malcolm Gladwell, that they have all these storage, not just including at the Met, but there are storages in New Jersey that are just artwork. And that's being paid because you have to store that artwork. You have to keep it safe. You have to keep it under certain temperature. You have to have climate changes. I mean, this has to be carefully designed so that art is not destroyed when it's in the storage. Even when it's in the museum on a display, every painting, every room will have, based on the light, based on and everything, based on how the temperature changes outside and the temperatures that go, that will be adjusted, especially at the Art Institute of Chicago. But the question is that you have all these paintings, and they continue to buy paintings. Well, not continue, but a lot of people donate their paintings and art collectors and all that. But the thing is that you have all these paintings, you can sell it, and then Metropolitan Museum of Art has over 3,000 volunteers that are not getting paid. You know, public people that if you visit the Met, you'll see so many people. You'll see 10 different desks where people sitting and helping people get around. Those people do not get paid. And there's other people that do research that do not get paid. And then there's so many other, different departments that do not get paid. So to me, what is fascinating and rather unfortunate that people have to pay that much money to get into a museum and laying off employees of the Met. That is just kind of convoluted, and it doesn't make sense to me. Is that you have all these paintings, you have all this artwork, you have all this stuff that public cannot see it because Met is a very big museum, but it doesn't have that big of a space to show all they have. It's literally impossible. So the works that are just sitting in a storage are not being sold, or they could be sold to help Met. You're not going to sell everything and all that, but you can make adjustments and changes based on that. You can change things around rather than charging people that much or getting people laying people off. But you have so much artwork that is just sitting around and it's not being shown. The public is not benefiting, and yet you paying all this money to keep it in storage, to keep it under a certain climate, but that artwork is never being shown. And that's what, and the pieces, artwork that are of value, meaning of course they're going to show Rembrandt and Peter Paul Rubens and Antonio Canova and other sculptors and painters, Picasso, Fabergé. They have all this, and then Italian painters, the Impressionism on the second floor, and all that, the European paintings on the second floor, and you have all these different paintings that are always there, and they are very valuable and one of the most expensive artworks. But at the same time, you have other artwork where it's just sitting in a storage and it's not being shown. And the curators, they have to, based on what they're trying to curate, they have to find pieces and all that, and you cannot possibly show everything that you have. So you have to start thinking, okay, how much money can we make, or should we give on a loan? And I'm sure they're giving on a loan, but the issue is that it should be the Met should not be hoarding these art objects. You should be maybe giving them on a loan and making money to giving them the loan to museums around the world, or open a huge public exhibition somewhere where people can go and see it, rather than just keeping it in there and keeping all those artworks that no one is going to see, no public eye is going to see. Um, this is why I said absolutely, I absolutely love the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I mean, there's no question about it, and I wouldn't have volunteered my time there if I didn't. But it's just there's so much there that you can see as it is, without even looking at the storage or anything like that. But I'm talking about in terms of their bad budget that they had issues with, and then charging people that are not within tri-state area, I believe, if I'm correct, charging arm and a leg, $25, yet you are trying to make more money off the public, but you have artworks that are just sitting in the storage and doing practically nothing, where no public is benefiting, and you are paying for the storage to keep the art in a certain way, and that's quite expensive. So that is my take on the Metropolitan Museum of Art and its problems and things that they have changed, the policies that they implemented. But other than that, I think Metropolitan Museum of Art is a fascinating um, place to visit and spend time and walk around, especially through the American period rooms. You'll see a lot of interesting furniture, and then you'll see Tiffany, and then you will see medieval on the first floor. Then you'll see Petrie Court, which is another fascinating sculptures that they have there. And right behind Petrie Court is Arms and Armor, which is some fascinating pieces. And I mean, I still remember the where things are, kind of where things are, because I worked there and helped people get around. Um, that's all for right now, and we will talk. I will talk about the Metropolitan Museum of Art in separate occasions because that place has made a major influence on me in terms of art, in terms of history, and I will discuss it furthermore. All right, that's it right now.